Somebody criticized me the other day because they asked me what I do, and I said, I'm going to bomb the shit out of them. It's true. I don't care. I don't care. They've got to be stopped.
So unless you have been living off grid for the past few weeks, or unfortunately live in North Korea, you've probably heard about this conflict going on in the Middle East between Iran and Israel. And I wanted to talk about that a little bit today, kind of shed some light or maybe bring a little clarity to what's going on to anybody that may not know. So that's what we're going to talk about today. But before we get into that, just want to say thanks for being here. My name is Jason. And if you like anything you hear today, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button for me. I would really, really appreciate it. All right, so before getting into kind of what's going on currently, I wanted to go back just a little bit, several decades, and talk about kind of where this all started. So with that, let's go back to 1979, so year after I was born. Prior to 1979, Iran and Israel were actually pretty close allies. However, in 1979, when they had the Iranian Revolution, the new power structure, the new regime that came to power, did not or refused to recognize Israel as a state and actually called for their destruction. Israel, rightly so, believes that Iran poses an existential threat to their existence, especially with their pursuit of a nuclear program. For decades, both sides have largely avoided direct conflict. Instead, they have kind of engaged in a proxy war with Iran supporting and backing groups like Hamas and Hezbollah. These are the groups that like to cut heads off to make a point, just so we're clear. And as a side note, I do think they are avid supporters of the LGBTQ++ ampersand community, for anybody keeping score. So, you know, keep touting those pride flags for Iran, guys. Israel has targeted Iranian assets and allies in Syria in response, and it just kind of goes on and on. All right, so in 2024 and now 2025, tensions have hit a breaking point, and both sides are now directly engaging with each other, largely by way of rocket and missile attacks on both sides. And while this is happening on the other side of the planet, regardless of where your support falls for either side during this conflict, keep in mind that there are innocent lives, unfortunately, being lost. And during all this, we should be praying for these countries and for, human life over there. All right, with a little bit of history out of the way, let's kind of get into what's happening now. Enter the United States. Though some administrations have been less committed to supporting Israel over the years and their right to exist, that is certainly not the case with the Trump administration. Beginning in late April, the U.S. began talks with Iran in an effort to have them halt their support for the Houthis and begin shutting down their nuclear enrichment program. That request went over about as well as Jack Doherty being asked to act like an adult in public.
What? Little pal, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? Yeah.
Terribly is how that went. Iran asserted that it has the right to continue to enrich uranium and that its program is for peaceful, civil purposes only, which I think all of us can agree is not 100% true. After several weeks of talks with Iran going nowhere and absolutely nobody being surprised by this, Israel launches a surprise attack on June 13th in an attempt to cripple Iran's nuclear facilities. 9 days later, on June 21st, the United States greenlit Operation Midnight Hammer. The mission targeted 3 of Iran's nuclear enrichment facilities and involved over 125 U.S. aircraft, as well as approximately 75 Tomahawk missiles. The guests of honor, however, were the 7 B-2 bombers that dropped 14 GBU-57s, massive ordnance penetrators. These are 30,000-pound bunker busters and the first known use of them in a combat environment. The mission was deemed a complete success. The full scope of destruction for the 3 facilities is still unclear, but the impact to their nuclear program is immense, with Trump stating it was a spectacular military success. Obviously, Iran was not happy with the outcome of the attack, and it has stated that there will be everlasting consequences for the United States. After the attack, Iran stated that every American service member and base in the region was now a target for retribution. And while I can understand why they feel that way and feel they need to push back and try to flex a little bit, do not get it twisted, Iran. What came down on them the other night was just a very tiny taste of America's military might. And if they want to try to make good on those threats, I guarantee within days their entire military complex will be reduced to smoking holes in the ground. But hey, if that's what you decide to do, you do that. I 100% pray that does not happen. I don't think anybody else does. But F around and you will find out. I absolutely guarantee that will happen. In response, Iran did launch missiles at a U.S. military base in Qatar. Fortunately for all involved, those missiles were intercepted and had zero effect on the intended target. 2 days after the U.S. airstrike, on June 23rd, a ceasefire was announced between Israel and Iran, marking the end of what President Trump called the 12-day war. However, as of June 24th, the ceasefire seems to be on rocky ground, as Tehran claims a missile attack was conducted after the conflict was supposed to have reached its conclusion. Prime Minister Netanyahu did confirm that they had conducted an attack on a radar site in Iran in retaliation to several missiles fired by Iran several hours after the ceasefire had begun. President Trump had some very strong words for both sides.
Yeah, I do. They violated it, but Israel violated it too.
Are you questioning if Israel is committed?
Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I'd never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because of one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have 2 countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
Do you have to respond in Iran?
As of right now, both sides are holding to the ceasefire, and with any luck, the violence will stop, at least for the time being. This conflict has been decades in the making, and unfortunately, I don't see this lasting very long. And it's hopeful at best that it will last for any extended period of time. But that's kind of all there is right now. If something comes of this, or there's more, I'll try to put an update to this. But I just wanted to kind of set the table, kind of let everybody know that isn't aware of what's going on, what is going on over in the Middle East. So if you have anything to add to that, please let me know your thoughts below. Leave me a comment. Pray for our nation. Pray for a lasting resolution in the Middle East. That's a very tall order, I know, but prayer does wonderful things. So anyways, can't thank you enough for being here. Please subscribe before you go. I would really, really appreciate it. And yeah, stay safe out there. Take care of each other. And I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.